Welcome to the Small Church Podcast. I'm Boyd.
I'm Alex.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be diving into, we're going to be talking about February of 2023. If this is your second time returning, I just want you to know it's something we always say at SCP. You're not a guest anymore, you're family. So thank you for being back, listening to the second episode. We hope it treats you good. Hope you can take something from it and hopefully learn and get closer to Christ. Before we dive into February 2023, we're going to get a little update on our guy's life. So, Alex, you got a new job. You just started. How's the new job going?
I like it. The office itself is super nice. It's been upgraded to be really fancy lately, so I have to dress a little differently than the high school football coach. But I like it. It's consistent. It's good. I'm in a routine where I can count on it, which is always nice in life. With everything going on right now, it's good to have one thing I can count on it from this time to this time and not have to worry about it. And it looks like where I work, there's going to be a lot of room for growth. And it's like you get your foot in the door,
Yeah,
and then you can go anywhere. So that's the kind of thing I wanted after the last however many years I've been in the work field. But I'm trying to retire somewhere now, so being a foot in the door kind of place, all about it. So that's the best thing to me.
yeah. So you do see that your future career is somewhere there. It might not be the exact job you have, but somewhere at where you're at.
Yeah, and they've got so many employees and so many different departments to do. They literally anything you think of, they do it. It's just a matter of you have to really be an employee there first at the base level and then work your way up because they don't do a lot of outside hiring for their upper jobs. So, I'm looking forward to actually 12 months in, look for some other job and see what's out there.
Yeah, that's good. But you have gotten to a pretty good routine.
Yeah. Yeah, I like my team. There's a British guy on my team, which is so different. The way he views America.
Yeah.
And he's lived in Hawaii, Alaska. He grew up in England, and now he's in Alabama. And it's his viewpoint on some things is like, I don't know why Americans care about this, but they care about this, and it just blows my mind. Like, what does it even matter? What does it matter? And I'm sitting there like, Andy, we're Americans. Like, we have a different way of. He was telling me the other day, he's like, why are y'all so worried about the cold? We didn't have central air conditioning in England. I'm like, well, it's 110 here. He's like, yeah, if it got 75 there, we'd all be freaking out and getting worried in our knickers. And I'm like, you don't have to use British words. Like, you've been here 40 years. Say pants. It's weird. I'm too small church to hear English words and go,
yeah,
Brits. Telling you, it's different.
Can you say Brits?
Do what?
Can you say that? Can you
call them
British? On the second episode.
Yeah, they're British. They're British. We call them Brits. He says it all the time. The first time he did, I said, "What does grits have to do with people?" He goes, "No, Brits, British." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Ever since then,
I did pass the building last night. That is a nice looking building.
Yeah, it's one of the nicest on the entire campus because of who is on the second floor.
Yeah.
So the guy that works on the second floor is pretty much the highest up you can be. So they've remodeled the whole thing, and it's awesome. I like fancy stuff sometimes. Can't lie.
Yeah.
A small church people, we love fancy stuff.
Yeah. Oh me. Well, John, how's your week been? How's the potty training going with the dog? What you been up to?
Well, the dog, he's been kind of moved outside. He was outside all day. We were at church today, and I think he just sits on the porch. He just kind of waits till you get home. I think so. He's still going to sleep in his kennel inside for now, but I think we're past the days of thinking he might be an inside dog.
That's good.
I don't think that was ever really the plan. It just you kind of have to keep them inside for a little while because they can't be outside at 6 weeks old.
How are you
But
trusting that he doesn't leave? Is he on a leash?
um, do what?
Is he on a run? Like, is he on like some kind of chain?
No, he's just on 8 acres.
Yeah,
I mean,
he doesn't leave it.
I just we leave him out there while we're here. Like right now, he's out there, and he doesn't run away while we're here. So I was kind of thinking if he was gonna run away, he would have already done it.
Hmm.
You know, like a golden retriever I used to have. If you let her out, she was gone no matter if you were outside, inside. She was just a runner, and he doesn't seem to be that way. So, and every dog I've had other than that one dog, they've been homebodies. They might roam a little bit, but they're gonna stick around. They know where supper's at 6 o'clock. So, but other than that, um, you know, Julia's starting a new job, just like you, Alex. That's been probably our biggest adjustment right now is supporting her in her career. Um, she used to have, she used to be a teacher, so she was just, you're done at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever it was, and come home or do errands or whatever. Now it's a little bit different. Um, Her job's requiring her to stay late sometimes or travel a little bit. And honestly, it hadn't been bad at all. I hadn't been minding watching the kids. A lot of times we'll just go out to eat without her and kind of giving me an opportunity to just hang out with them, one on two, you know. It's been pretty nice. I hadn't been, I wouldn't say the least bit of a burden. I'm glad she's got something she's really enjoying. So,
That's good.
well, that's about it for me.
Yeah, well, that's good. Y'all know I've had a pretty hectic week as far as the
Yeah,
funeral and everything goes. We went to a funeral on Saturday. It went good. A lot of people there.
a lot of people.
A lot of people there. Had two of my personal trucks go down, so that's always tough. Driving the old mother-in-law's special, the old backup car. People look at you a little differently too when you get out of it. You pull up to a tree job and they see a mom of three minivan getting out of it. Ain't the same as my trucks. Sadie's had strep, so it's just been a busy week. I would describe it as hectic. Hectic is the word,
Yeah.
but that's something that life is
Pool,
frequently.
part on
So
your pool messed up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, some of my pool messed up, and I ain't had the thing 6 months. Got me stressed out. Don't know what it's going to cost or if it's under warranty or everything. But they said we're going to come fix it, so I'm hoping that means it's under warranty, and we'll just go from there. They
What's it
haven't given
do?
me a date yet. It's just spraying water out. One of the pump components is just spraying water out. I thought I had a leak, but I never was there whenever it was happening until I finally noticed it. But so yeah, so I have had a hectic week. So we're going to dive into our verse for this week. It was a verse that I picked out. It's Colossians 2:6 and 7. It's a Christian Standard Bible. So then, just as you have received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to walk in Him. And then verse 7 says, being rooted and built up in Him and established in the faith, just as you were taught, and overflowing with gratitude. So as you'll see, when talk the things that we got to talk about in our lives and stuff like that, it really goes well with some things that we all went through. As far as the title of this episode is "Deep Roots Make for Strong Trees," and as Christians and as leaders in a small church, it is very vital that you have your roots dug deep, because there are things that like my truck messing up this week, saying I might need a new engine. That a lot of people that's going to put you in panic mode. And I had a backup truck and then it went down. And it's very easy for stuff like that to really knock you off course, and make you lose focus of what's important. And some people might miss church because they're trying to get everything handled. I had parts that needed to be there, and I could have went to Birmingham and picked up a part for Sunday, but I didn't. I said, "Oh, I'll just wait," because I'm not going to miss church or miss some of my duties because I've got so much people count on me for. So I will lead us off. We're going to talk about February of 2023. It was a busy month, as we told you in the last episode. Me and Jordan had found out we were pregnant in January. We probably found out a little bit before then, but we were getting ready to tell some people, and we started telling our family and stuff like that early February. Um, at the time, my wife was still a teacher at a school, and she was over show choir. And I know both y'all know what show choir is, but it's singing, dancing, it's the whole nine yards. It's a high school musical is what it is. But she was good at it. She poured a lot into it. She went to a school that didn't really have a precedent in being good in it. So it was good to go there and really to build it up. And she put a lot of emphasis on it. She poured her heart into it. I remember, Alex, you probably don't know this, but getting started, they didn't have a ton of money they had set aside for that. And I had to drive my own enclosed trailer to different places in Alabama, hauling all their equipment. And I was the one unloading the equipment, having everything ready. It was it was a brutal few months. We poured a lot into that, and more than we ever got compensated for. I didn't get compensated nothing, no gas money, no nothing for driving everywhere. And I mean, I'm driving a closed trailer with probably one tail light working. Stressed out, I'm gonna get a ticket. Um, but God took care of it. He saw our hearts, but she really poured a lot into that. She's always loved kids. She's a perfectionist. If she's going to do something, she's going to do it to the best of her ability. And that was what I had for February. I had a picture of her. She won their first, I guess, casing, maybe. I don't know what you'd call that. Their first time in like a decade that they came in first place in it. And then everybody was super excited, so proud. She was so proud of the kids. I remember the first couple times she did it, she just wanted to win the People's Choice Awards, which that is like you put money in there. It's their way of making money. You put money in there and then you get to pick a team. Every dollar is like a point going towards it. She'd make me put money in there just hoping they would win the People's Choice Awards. And I'm over here already spending my gas money to drive across the state. But she finally won one and she was so proud of that. But yeah, so going into February, around February 14th, we had what is it called?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. That's exactly what I was thinking of. No, we had like a pregnancy photo shoot. So we took pictures and we had Sadie, and I still remember this day. She had a cute little red dress on. She had the balloons, and we put on the balloons, the due date and everything, and the pictures and everything. And I think we were gonna release it the day of Valentine's Day and put it out. And shortly into February, that's when we realized we went to the doctor and everything was fine. It was a normal doctor day. I took off work. I remember it pretty clearly. I left work. Everything had went really smooth that day. Um, Left work. We went up to Birmingham and we saw the doctor and we get in there and they're running tests and everything. And you just get that feeling. I remember seeing the doctor and his face just kind of looking puzzled. And I said, Lord, I said, I know something ain't right. And just sit there, and just didn't really know what to say. And he said, well, let me, I'm gonna run in here and run back. And he came back in and he said, I hate to break this news to you, but the baby's not fully developed. I think we were 9 or 10 weeks along, but it just doesn't. Some reason it didn't develop properly, and they told us right there we lost the baby, and that was pretty hard. Hard thing to hear. Especially with all that was going on at the church, that was going on in our normal lives. I remember something my dad had told me like months before, how important it was to be tough for Jordan while I'm there, and to really support her and not to get upset, not to get overwhelmed. And I know that's hard for guys. It's you always want to be that. You want to be that strong person, but at times I feel like you kind of need to grieve that kind of stuff. But I remember walking out, and we're walking out into the parking deck, and I remember her crying and being upset, and I had nothing to say because I really don't know what to say. We had friends that have been through that before, but really, when it happens to you, you don't know what to say. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know why this is happening. Um, And I remember I got a phone call. I'm like opening the door for her to get in the car. She's so upset. And I got a phone call and I shut the door and I said, "Hey, this is Boyd." And it was about a tree job. Well, the neighbor had let us get into their yard to work. And he said, we told the homeowner, we said, "Look, most of this tree is going to come down in the neighbor's yard." I said, "You can pay us to clean it up or we can, leave it there." And he said, "Well, leave it there. The neighbor's fine with it all. Just put it there. I'll clean it up same day. No big issue." And I remember getting that phone call and it was from the neighbor and he called me and he just let me have it. I mean, cussing me left and right and telling me, he's going to sue me and all kind of stuff. And I'm already overwhelmed with emotions of what's going on. And, just hearing all that, and I really had nothing to say. People, it makes you think, and from then on out, every time I went to get upset at somebody, I couldn't do it like that because it's the thought of you never know truly what somebody's going through. You never know, like he didn't know that, and it's not his fault, but it takes something like that in your life to realize that nothing like that's getting that is worth getting that worked up about. We can get upset and stuff, but as Christians, as elders in the church, as deacons, we are supposed to be that strong, that strong person, and we're supposed to keep our temper to ourselves. We're supposed to, we can get angry, but we don't need to lose our top over stuff. And I just remember telling him, "Look, man, I don't really know what to tell you. I'll do what I can. Let me call the homeowner." I didn't tell him the situation, but I didn't have words to say to Jordan. I wasn't even thinking about him really. I was like, do what you got to do. It just is what it is. Um, it was a tough time. And there for several weeks, I remember, sitting on the couch and just talking to her and, she was dealing with some postpartum stuff, depression and stuff like that, which, it's a little different, I guess, when you lose a baby than actually having a baby, but, dealt with a lot of, questioning God. Why would somebody who's serving in a small church, somebody who's giving it their all, somebody who's trying as hard as we are, um, lose a child or go through something like that? Um, but it was tough. I remember we sat on the couch and we literally tried to answer the question of why it happened. And both of you know that there's no way you can answer a question like that, especially not in the moment, especially not when it happens. But it's like almost that was the only way we were going to get some closure is if we could have found anything out of why it would happen. We run through so many scenarios in our head, and it was like, well, he could have been protecting us from losing a baby when they were 1 year old. And I told her, I said, "Look, imagine if we had the baby and then at 1 year old they passed, that would be even more brutal than something we haven't even, a baby that we haven't met yet." I mean, we did anything just to try to get a little bit of closure on it. Not knowing can sometimes be the hardest thing to grasp. But yeah, I think this is why this verse bodes so well with me. Is that in our walk we're called to be rooted, we're called to be built up in Him, established in the faith, overflowing with gratitude. That's something that I feel like since then I have tried my hardest to do is to be thankful no matter what. Not understanding, not knowing why. When bad things happen, that was my thing. Overflowing with gratitude, just giving it to God and saying, "I'm thankful for regardless. I'm thankful for the tough times. I'm thankful for the good times. I don't know what you're teaching us. I don't know why this is happening, but I know and I'm thankful for that." I remember one of my biggest regrets was like, and even though she was young, was telling Sadie, and I know she
Mhm.
didn't remember it. She didn't remember it then, but it's like you hate telling people and then having to take it back. That is so tough. I mean, and it's not like we could have prevented it. It's just like it. I remember thinking, we got all these people's hopes up, and then we just let them all down. And I know the way, it wasn't us, but I mean that was a big feeling that we felt that we just let everybody's hopes down, for something that we couldn't control.
Yeah, you touched on it, but we went through the same thing or something very similar anyway. Um, Losing a couple children early in pregnancy, but I think for me it was the trying to navigate being there for her. That's such a hard. I mean, like you said, you don't even know what to really say. You know, um, and you don't know really how to feel about it. You don't know whether to, I always try to tell myself, whatever the reason is, God, I want to trust that you had a reason,
Yeah.
not, I don't want to have an earthly thought like, I don't deserve this, or, why did this happen to us? I tried to stay away from those thoughts and just cling to, you saved us from something. You saved that baby from something. You were ahead of it, even though we can't understand that. And
Yeah.
that's the thought. That's what I remember when we went through it, which was, I think it would have been in 2021 or 2022. No, 2021. So it's been some time ago, but that's just what always went through my mind, especially the part about not really knowing what to tell her, what to say to her. There's really nothing you can say to make them feel better. And not knowing when you can talk about it either was always a weird thing, a tough spot to be in. And talking about it with her is one thing, and telling people is another. And people that love you want to check on you, and they don't know what to say either, especially the ones who haven't been through it or haven't, been through something similar. Or that's a tough thing to go through, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think, we got a friend group of 6 different couples, and I think of the 6 couples altogether, we've lost, 6 total babies up to this podcast? 5 or 6 that I
yeah,
know
5
of.
or 6.
And, we'll discuss some of them throughout the podcast. But I mean, I think the main thing that I would like anybody to take from this, and that's something that I've told Jordan time and time again, is it really happens more than anybody ever says it happens.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's so prevalent, and they don't tell you that when you get married. Nobody tells you that when you're trying to get pregnant, and you sometimes you have trouble getting pregnant, but it's like it really happens a lot more than you think it is, and it makes that baby when they do come such a miracle. Like
Yeah.
God really had His hand on it to make it happen. Everything that had to go so right just to make it happen is a miracle, and it's a miracle that they're here and they're healthy. With the baby we do have, when we're so thankful for that. That we don't understand why those things happen, but we are so thankful for the miracles that you've given us.
Yeah, they really don't tell you about it, and you almost wonder how many people have gone through it because nobody talks about it.
Nobody.
Like my sister had 2, and I didn't find that out until about a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, it's my sister, she's older than me. I've been there her whole life, or my whole life has been involved with her, and I didn't even know. And then come to find out her cousin, which is one of her good friends, has also had multiple.
Yeah.
It's just something I don't know if we don't talk about because of the pain that's associated with it, and we feel as though we don't tell people that aren't really close to us. Like there's a few people that the average person tells, but it just shows me how we really don't. The world doesn't know how to process grief and loss.
Yeah.
And they think that, well, if I don't talk about it and I just keep moving forward, it'll go away.
Yeah.
But if you don't process grief the way God tells us to, it's a consistent pain the rest of your life. And He can heal you from it, but you gotta want that healing too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, any guys or women listening to this, I mean, it's something that I would encourage you to talk to other people about, because there's probably somebody sitting right next to you that's dealt with it before and you don't even realize it. I mean, because it's not like we have small groups just about that, but it's something that we've, a lot of people have gone through. And if you really don't know how to go through it and you go to the word and you still feeling a little hopeless or a little hurt, it's go to those friends, go to those people that have been through it before, and say, how did God deliver you from this? And that's kind of what we want to be. We want to be the podcast that, talks about these things because we dealt with them. We've all dealt with several different things in our lives. We're going to be bringing so much to the table for situations and how God's delivered us, because we're so thankful that He has delivered us. Built up in Him and established in faith. So powerful, very powerful verse. Anything else before we go on to the next one? All right. So that was what I had going on in my daily life as far as for February. But the men's group, like we talked about in the last episode, we started a serve year, and this was our first month. Super excited about it. I really didn't know how it was going to turn out. Like I said, we posted on the Nextdoor app, we posted on Facebook. I was lining people up for the year, but the first one we wanted to help a older lady in our church, and she said, I don't have a ton at my house, but I've got some leaves in my yard. If you want to get a group of guys together, come and rake some leaves. And I said, okay, well, that's great. That's not that big of a deal. I said, maybe we can do some other things while we're there because, raking leaves usually don't take that long. And little did we know. So we get there, and I think we have like 12 to 13 people there.
Yeah.
Ton of guys there. And when I'm telling you, we broke rakes. We had one blower, and it was working all it could, little engine that could. We were at one point we tried to just burn them, pull them into a pile and burn them. I mean, what do you think, John? We were there 3 or 4 hours burning leaves, raking leaves.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, it was.
When we pulled up, I remember, because I think this is the first time I'd ever been to her house.
Yeah.
So when we pull up, I'm like thinking in my head, I hope this isn't it. I hope it's like the next house. And it was it. It was we were there. We were home.
I think God gave it to us first because He wanted us to make sure. He wanted to test us. Make sure you're going to do that for this year because we had some tough stuff that year. But we served. We had a couple guys wash our car while we're there. We were there 3 or 4 hours just raking leaves, and our arms were like.
They milked washing those cars.
Oh yeah, they did. Those guys washing them cars, they weren't missing a spot. They were taking their time because didn't nobody want to rake the leaves. It was bad.
I don't know that they didn't repaint them. I mean, the leaf job was the leaves.
They were washing cars while y'all were raking leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that was a couple of the other guys, but they were like, we can do this while y'all rake leaves, and it was something serious. But the guys raking the leaves looking over there like, please let me wash that car.
They made the decision after you got there. Hey, we're gonna wash cars. Y'all gonna rake leaves.
Yeah, it was just her car, and it was kind of an idea we threw out there if we got done with the leaves quick, but we did not, in fact, get done with the leaves quick. She said that is where all leaves go to die, and she was serious. It was bad.
I've seen the photo. I've seen the after photo, and you guys look like you were on day 7 of no sleep.
Oh, it was tough. And the thing was, I bet you 2 weeks later, those leaves were back. You know how it is.
They were back.
Well, you know how it is in Alabama.
The ones you burned, yeah, they're gone. But the ones you raked, they're back.
Yeah.
I think they were back when we went and visited her a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was a lot out there that day.
Yeah. Those trees had some deep roots. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, Alex, tell us a little bit. Give us a little update about your February. We know you had a busy January with everything. So, give us an update of what was going on in February 2023 of your life.
Yeah. So, February 23, I was still technically unemployed, and I felt like I knew where I was going to work. I felt like it had been something that had been building for a couple of years, and that God had told me, hey, this is what you're going to do. You need to prepare for it. So I prepared. I spent the whole month of February doing as much research as I could, listening to podcasts, reading books, taking notes, asking the Holy Spirit, hey, show me scriptures that I can apply to this so I can build this program, so to speak. And I spent the whole month of February just working on that because I had all day, every day to do it. And we went home I say home. We went back to Alabama probably every weekend that month. And we were starting to get stressed out. Well, my wife was starting to get stressed out because we were looking at the ending of my employment benefits financially from the previous job, because they did give me, I think, 3 or 4 months. I can't remember specifically, but they were going to pay me for 3 or 4 months while I got ready for us to make the move. and she was job hunting during that, and the job she had applied for or interviewed for, we spent the whole month of February, and she still hadn't gotten an offer. So she's freaking out. She's thinking, why would God put us in the spot where you lose your job, and then I still don't have a job lined up, and we have a mortgage, we have we may need a new car, we got bills, and it's just a moment where you're thinking, okay, God, you're telling me that this is what I'm preparing for, and I'm preparing for it in faith. That was a Hebrews 11 kind of month where everything I do, I didn't know if I was going to use it or not. Writing out plans and programs and strategies that I didn't know if I would ever even use. And she's waiting on a phone call from a job so that we don't have a month of May coming down the pipe where we don't have any income. And that's a scary spot because at that time we weren't financially comfortable yet because we'd been a solo income family for duration of our marriage, and I worked for a church full time, which hate to burst the bubble, but working full time for a church usually isn't a very comfortable lifestyle financially. Even the big ones, they don't pay six figures. They just don't. So I'm sitting there making just a normal amount of money, maybe a little bit less, and we're barely scraping by. And it was a month of faith. We both had conversations probably once a week. Okay, I can freak out this week and think, okay, is God going to do it? But you can't freak out this week because if we both do it, have you ever been in a situation where you and your spouse were kind of worried about the same thing, and it just made it so much worse?
Yeah.
And I feel like in marriage, it's okay for the other spouse, it's okay for your spouse to be worried about something, but you can't also be worried about it.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
you has to be unworried. The other one can be worried occasionally. So she would go a week and be worried. I'd be fine. The next week, I'd be worried. She'd be fine. And we literally had a chat where I said, look, we cannot both be worried in the same week. It will be a nightmare. Okay. So we just kept standing on faith. We kept reading. And honestly, to tell you the truth, that season was one of the best I've ever had in terms of growth in my relationship with God, because I felt like if I can't get close to him now, when am I?
Yeah.
Like I needed him more in that season than I've ever needed him before. So I dug in. I was consistent. I was reading my Bible 2 hours a day in the month of February. I was highlighting, I was writing notes in the margins, I was typing stuff up. I felt like I had never been closer to God. And it was a time where I had the least amount of things in my life. So I need to remember that the rest of my life. That hey, if I'm relying on too many things, I need to start getting rid of some stuff.
Yeah, I think that what you said about not being stressed out at the same time touches a lot about our grief too. It's letting women handle it and deal with it and trying to be there for them. And that's why men's grief gets pushed off. Because you feel like you got to be the tough one until they get it figured out. And if your wife has a tougher time figuring it out, well, that's just longer than till you get to deal with it. And by the time you get to deal with it, it's like, is it even worth it anymore? Because then you're like John said, you're worried. You bring it back up, and then tensions flare and upset with them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you don't want to be the reason that they uncover a wound that they thought they gotten past.
yeah,
And I think as men, I don't think people realize the burdens we carry because we don't necessarily voice them, and we try to deal with them ourselves. Because as the head of the household, we can't be weak.
yeah,
Our entire household rests on our shoulders, because when we're weak, our household's weak. But when we're
Yeah.
strong, our household is strong, and that's the way God intended. So we have to be strong, and there are times where I kind of want to be weak, but I tell myself, no, I can't. There's more on the line than just me.
yeah. So kind of going with that, do you feel like did you have moments in that season where you questioned God, kind of like we did? Why? Like you said, which you said she did. I mean, did you have moments where you questioned God, or maybe you wanted to almost step back from your faith?
I think I had that the very first couple hours after that job conversation, the sheer shock of it, because I thought, God, you brought me here because I I would have never in my life wanted to move to that state.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of redeeming qualities about it to me. I don't have family there. I don't have any connection to it. I didn't know much about it. So to me, I couldn't find a lot to love about it. But I knew that God had sent me there, and that made me love the area. So I thought, why bring me here if you're just gonna have me get the rug snatched from under me? And my wife, we can't even leave. We couldn't leave. She was still in school. She was still 5 months away from it being viable for us to move. So I'm thinking, I can't get a job for 5 months. It takes 90 days just to get a job and start.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you put me in a spot where we may suffer financially because we moved here because you told me to move there?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, what's your end game here, Lord? Like, tell me, what is the end result? But then within 2 hours, I was like, God's got a plan. And he just made it abundantly clear to me and her that this was a season that was about to end. We were never meant to be long term in that state. And that was sometimes I didn't want to leave the state. I told her, I said, when you graduate, we're looking for a job here. We're not looking for a job in Alabama. We want to look for a job here because this is where our church is, this is where our friends are. So when that happened, it shook me to the point to where I'm completely okay leaving, because up until that point, I wasn't looking to leave for at least 2 more years.
Yeah.
And she wanted to leave me a year into it. She's very family oriented. I have a very small family, but she has a big one, and she missed hanging out with her family because we missed so much because we just couldn't go.
Yeah.
Easter is
Yeah.
a big deal in her family. We didn't go to it for the first 5 years we were together
Yeah.
because I worked on Easter.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's good. I think that's, you can touch on it a little bit, but so Colossians 2, 6 and 7, I was reading 6 again, and you touched on that, continuing to walk in him and how much it strive you to your faith. I mean, don't you feel like that was just a great verse for the time that you were going through?
Yeah, because as you guys know, with trees, the ones that get blown over in storms generally the ones that don't have deep roots. And if you go through a storm in life and you don't have deep roots, you're gonna react in a way you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I felt like we had pretty deep roots in that season, so we didn't really panic. It wasn't a weekend where we were just spending our entire weekend when we found out that I lost my job. That what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? This is the worst thing ever. Just stressing out, calling people, crying, not just telling. We didn't react as if though we had just gotten blown over by a storm.
Yeah.
We said we would stay in the storm because God knew the storm was coming.
Yep.
And so when you've got your roots dug deep like that, if you're rooted, storms won't blow you over that easy. And storms come in life. The three of us get storms it feels like every week,
Yeah.
and we don't get
Somebody,
blown
yeah.
over by it. That your week, boy, that you had this past week, that second truck going down, a lot of men, they would have that would have been a conversation with God that would have been very unchristlike.
Yeah.
But you're rooted, so you say, "Well, it'll be okay. We're
Yeah.
good.
That's right.
I have a backup plan. I got another vehicle." And when emotion is high like that, wisdom is low. So being rooted keeps your emotions down, and
Yeah.
it keeps wisdom high. So
That's good.
that's where we were, deeply rooted, storm tried, didn't win.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, John, I know you said you didn't really have a busy February. Is there anything you want to touch on with that, or anything you want to talk about for Colossians 2, 6 and 7?
You know, the biggest thing I can remember from back then, or at that time, was Riley starting to crawl, and like for some reason, all I can see, like when I look at pictures of him, he hadn't had his first haircut yet, and the kid came out with a full head of hair,
Yeah.
and how ridiculous he looks. Like he
Yeah.
needed a haircut in February. He doesn't get one until March. But I was looking back at pictures, preparing for today, and his hair was just all over his face, and it's weird that like moms especially, they're weird about giving their kid the first haircut.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's more for them or they're just scared how the kid's gonna do, but he needed a haircut way before he got one. Um, but that's the biggest thing. Riley, is when you have kids that little, that I feel like they just your life revolves around them. Really didn't have a ton going on in February other than church stuff, but
Yeah.
I do love that these two verses. Um, especially with going through trials and tribulations, when you're rooted in your faith, storms can't blow you over. They may bend you a little bit, but we, like you said, Alex, we've all been through things that have tested us, and to the point where we feel like we might break. But I just thank God that He's walked with me and allowed me to sink my roots deep, that I don't get blown over from those storms.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really good verse. That's a verse I think I'm gonna ponder on for a little while. I
Yeah.
really like that,
Yep.
especially in today's world. There's so many problems. I mean, you talk to people all the time that are going through stuff, and that's a great verse to give somebody.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
even just to remind ourselves, but to give friends and family that come to you for advice, or just they're going through stuff, so you reached out to them. That's a really good couple verses to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul was giving it to the church in what is it? How you say Colossae? How do you say that?
Colossus.
Colossus. That's right. Yeah, but yeah, that was something he was writing to them to encourage them in their faith. So yeah, that's just exactly what we're called to do, is
Yep.
to encourage the other people in their faith. Really good. Well, before we get into our deep stuff about that, well, not deep, but our important stuff about what was going on in the church that time, we got our Did Ya update of the week. Sponsored to you by nobody yet.
Email us for
Who would
sponsors.
sponsor? Who would sponsor? Who would be the great sponsor? If you could pick one.
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking like
Mountain Dew.
that's probably a little secular, Alex, but I'm thinking maybe like
Prank TV.
Dr.
America's
Pepper,
Funniest
is that
Home Video.
I don't know what's a big brand that's Christian based. I don't know if
Hobby
they have to
Lobby?
be Christian based, but it
Hey,
seems
if
like
we
they're like,
ever got sponsored by Chick-fil-A, I tell you what, it'd save me so much.
yeah,
You couldn't tell me
That would-
nothing if this
No.
podcast gets sponsored by Chick-fil-A. You can't tell me anything in life.
we ain't even got a view yet, and we're talking about sponsored.
Talking
by
about free
Chick-fil-A,
chicken biscuits.
the biggest chicken company in America, and we're thinking they're going to sponsor us.
Hey, you catch me eating a chicken sandwich every time I get on this podcast.
Oh yeah,
I'll put Chick-fil-A wallpaper in the room.
This will
Audio's
turn into
terrible.
ASMR video so quick. Just me eating it.
Yeah, with me.
Well, John, lead us off with your Did Ya of the week if you got one.
Oh my gosh, I got a couple, and this may be one of them. May be one that we have to edit out. We'll just see how y'all take it. We'll start with the not so bad one. So today we're putting up chairs after an event, and one of the members pushes back the chair dolly.
Not a member.
And
He's an elder.
He's an elder.
But
Right.
he might have been demoted to member after that.
He's a member now.
pushes it back into this little room we have for the chairs and tables and stuff, and there's a water pipe that's in the corner, and he breaks it. I'm outside. Boyd, you're outside. Alex, I don't know where you are, but
I'm 5 feet away from the room.
I'm walking up to the door with Boyd. I don't even know what we were doing, and he's like in a panic. And he hollers at me and Boyd, "One of y'all go turn the water off, and John, you come with me."
I
Well,
was
I
the
can-
one of y'all
by the
briskly
time-
jogging through the parking lot, and you know how embarrassing it is to jog in church clothes. It's like, how fast do you really go? Full sprint? I didn't. He should have gave me. Couldn't tell enough
Yeah.
in his voice how fast I needed to run.
So as soon as I step over the threshold, I realize I can hear water, and I don't know what's going on, but I know it's not good.
Yeah, buckets.
So we go in there, and he says, "Look, I've busted this water pipe, and there's an inch of water in the room already." And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why he didn't try to plug it or turn the valve, because there's a gate valve right there. Well, when I get up to it, I realize it's frozen. I'm gonna have to have a pipe wrench. I'm gonna have to have a pair of pliers, something to close the valve. But I've got a thumb here that can plug the hole. So I
At least
plugged
a
it.
little bit. Yeah.
I mean, really and truly, it was plugged completely until there was a lot of pressure on it until I got so tired, or that finger got tired, I'd swap to another finger. And I did that 5 or 6 times. But I guess he was just gonna let it flood the whole church. And there, I mean, yes, he turned the water off. He got somebody to turn the water off. But do you know how much water is in 100 yards of water pipe? The whole fellowship hall was going to be underwater. So that's my first one. The fact
Where
that
does he? What line of work is he in? Tell us.
he's
He
an
works at
electrician.
the water department.
Yeah, he's works
That's the best
for
part.
the waterworks.
He
Anyhow,
knows how bad it is.
and then this is a little bit before this, and he's actually involved in this one too. It's his idea. I walk outside and I see one of our members, elders, with a dog on a leash. And I say, why is the dog here? He said, well, I've got open house at my house today. I'm trying to sell their house. I said, well, what are you doing with the dog? He said, I'm going to put it in the youth room. I said,
No
you're
way.
going to put the dog in the youth room? And he's actually like walking from his truck. Now I'm talking to the other guy about this. And I said, he's going to put the dog in the youth room? He said, yeah, it's an inside dog. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. I said, it's a church. I can't say I agree with this. And he kind of said something like, well, if somebody asked, tell him I said it was all right. And in my head, I'm thinking, I ain't saying nothing to Rex, but he ain't going to like this. And I didn't
I
say
wish
nothing
somebody
to
would have
him.
said something to me. I would have. Did it happen?
Oh, yeah, he put the dog in there for the whole party.
Oh my gosh.
What?
On a bed.
Have you seen the door? I had to replace a door in the guy's house because it was chewed up by the dog. It might not have been the very dog, but still.
Hey, we replaced that door.
That's right. That's right.
Come on now.
So did you see the dog in the church building? Now, was it in the sanctuary? No. That would have been like definite no. And I felt pretty definite no about what he did. But some of our kids can be as bad as a dog. So I was like,
Or worse.
maybe we just let it slide. I don't know. I didn't know what to think really. The party was about to, it was in the middle of the party basically.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like I had time to deal with it.
Do you think he ran that by his wife? I don't think she would have been okay with that.
I don't know.
She'd have been stressed.
She probably would.
I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly fathom that being like what you'd go to.
Wait
I
till he
walked
hears this on the
outside.
second episode of the podcast.
I walked outside and the first guy is describing why we're putting the dog in the building. So apparently the dog was in the back of his truck on a collar or on a leash, like a 6-foot leash. But he tried to jump out of the bed
And it was
and was
choking him?
tangled up. And it was like the dog hung.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I think that's mostly why I was okay with it, or not okay with it, but why I let it go. Because if we would have walked outside, the dog was hanging there, that would have been like way worse.
Kid's traumatized.
Yeah,
What kind of
kids.
church is this?
Yeah, and so I think him saying that and him not really knowing what to do either. So they just reverted to this, like,
Put him on a leash
was
and
just-
tie him to the fence or something. I
I
mean,
think it was just a slew of things that I just
couldn't take no more.
couldn't. I think I just couldn't get really my rind wrapped around it.
That's a small church problem right there.
Oh,
Your elder puts his dog in the youth center during
Two of 'em.
on a
Brand
brand
Sunday.
new building.
Two elders are associated with this. And the
Brand
third
new
one,
building.
me, didn't say anything.
So,
And I didn't,
hey,
you know,
you're
I
guilty,
wouldn't have had
man.
it. I'd have locked that door so quick. I'd have said, "I'll stand out here and hold the dog." How about that?
Or just go up the driveway.
I did make it known that I didn't like it. But
Yeah. So my Digi would have been the busted pipe, but I did have something different. You're in a small church when there's a chance of Wednesday and Sunday you get ragged on during the whole service. One of the teachers Wednesday night happened to rag on me the whole service, and then Sunday morning I'm over here getting picked on during the pastor's sermon. It was just my week, wasn't it? Not he wasn't picking on me or anything, but it's so hard to react because in some scenarios in our church, people like not talk back in a mean way, but they'll like
respond.
joke back, respond, and I'm not drawing any more attention to me during the middle because I'm like, let's just get back to the message.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from the service, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I never really know how to respond awkward in those situations, but back-to-back weeks, I just drew my number.
Yeah.
I mean, Wednesday it just kind of fell your way.
Yeah, and that was fine. I don't like. I feel like if I respond every time something like that happens, when other people respond to it, I'm like, just move on. It's just part of the message.
There's a
But-
certain person who does respond every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't like when he responds, but see, after you've done it the third or fourth time, it almost sounded like you wanted me to respond.
It was that was a tough class because
Let me just say this: you probably could have delivered it better if you'd have stood behind that little pulpit thing I asked you to.
That's neither here nor there. You're not gonna get me to lead a Bible study class from behind a pulpit. That's just too formal. I would feel, definitely not. But anyway, you were so close. You were the only one on that entire row. Your wife was not there, so that's one of the three people I rely on to kind of answer questions. I rely on John's wife, your wife, and my wife.
Yeah.
My wife was very quiet.
Typical.
It was a long way. She doesn't like she doesn't like when I put the spotlight on her.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do that to her. And John, your wife, was the only one responding. So I'm like, well, I got to get somebody else involved.
Yeah.
And it was Boyd, and he wouldn't respond. He just kept on looking. He kept on giving me daggers with his eyes. I was like, he's angry, and we're just talking about being tired.
I had a tough week.
You were tired.
Anyways, did you have a Digi or was yours just the water pipe too?
Mine was the watching one of our friends in the group have no clue what to do with the running water on the floor, and it's the one that dresses nice usually. And we all know who that instantly is. And he's just kind of standing. He's just kind of looking at the floor, and I can tell his brain has no idea what to do or how to help. And he grabs this little teeny tiny mop that is the size of an iPhone, and he's like, "Will this help?" There's an inch of water on the floor, dude. Like your little steam mop's not gonna do nothing here. And and then we had the shop vac. We realized that midway through was not a wet vac. And we still filled that joker up to the fill line.
Yeah.
And it
won't hurt it. You just have to replace the filter on it.
Oh, that filter's toast.
Oh, I'm sure.
That thing was full. What is that, like a 10-gallon shop vac maybe?
Probably.
And we filled it up, and we still had tons of water to push out of that little room. Yeah. And I told Rex, I was like, so do we just add a little bit more to our fundraiser? Because this room is no longer usable.
This room is now the baptismal.
I mean, that drywall was already starting to swell up.
Yeah.
That room's toast.
Oh me.
And John's sitting there telling, "Hey, where's the pliers? at?"
Where's
He
the
was
wrench?
so mad.
Somebody
He
get
was
a
so
wrench. And I mean, we just built the building. We got tools at our wazoo everywhere, and nobody can find a wrench to turn it off
Well,
with.
my thing was everybody knows that not everything's really super back to organized. I would have been fine with all 5 of y'all going and looking for the wrench.
Yeah.
Get 10 eyes
Yeah.
looking for a wrench instead of just one set of eyes looking for a wrench. And you know the guy who went to look for the wrench liable to stop at the
Yeah.
store.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he's liable to get lost. Somebody has had to ask him a question, or he's
Yeah.
got to lead somebody to the Lord on the way to go get the wrench.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Might
holding.
have opened that door and seen that dog.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's why it took so long. The dog had the
Yeah.
wrench.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I was helping move stuff, and then I started mopping, but there were people around me just standing there.
Yeah.
And you're saying, "How long does it take to find a wrench? I need a wrench. If y'all don't get a wrench, I'm gonna give up
Yeah,
on
that's
this."
so funny.
He's like, I can't hold this."
So
There was
that
a
was
lot
our
of pressure on that pipe. I mean, it was like, I mean, you're basically putting all the pressure on your fingers that you can, and then right before it gives out, you swap. You know.
so yeah, pretty eventful digias of the week.
This was
Presented.
at the end of a baby shower today.
Yeah.
My baby
Like-
shower
Yeah.
Had other stuff to be doing. Yeah.
turned into an actual shower.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
We that was not. And how long ago was it where boy you had to plumb my outdoor water heater closet?
A couple
Yeah, that
weeks.
was
Less than a
couple
week ago
weeks. That was like Thursday.
of
Was it?
last week.
Yeah, it was like Thursday.
No, it was a Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah, it was before church. It was 4 or 5 days ago. So
Yeah.
just water lines busting everywhere in Bama.
Can we go another week without a water problem?
Yeah, first my pool leaking.
I'll
Now
give
you're
you
plumbing.
that.
Yeah, great. Now it's John's house. John, you better be taping them pipes up.
Yeah, because you live a little bit
It's
further out than
75
we do.
more.
So the last segment we're going to discuss, we're going to talk about the church in 23. What was our main goal? And we talked a little bit about it last time. It's the storage building. We talked about how badly we needed storage. To say the least, had that water line busted when we didn't have the storage building, 50% of our stuff was probably ruined. I mean, because
Yeah.
that little room held all
Had a
of our
lot
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we packed everything into that room.
Yeah.
And there's a door in that room, and it was blocking it. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. Our first concern would have been get everything out. We might not even have noticed it for a while because there
Yeah.
was so much stuff in there. I mean,
I
it
didn't
was
think about that. That could've
yeah.
been
I mean,
bad.
it would have been bad. I mean, it could have flooded the whole bottom. We could have been talking about new fellowship hall. Yeah, we needed a storage building bad. To the point where we're talking as elders, and we're like, we need more room, but we need this storage so bad. Like, let's build a storage building first that's not going to bring in any income. It's not going to bring in any new families. It's really not going to benefit anything other than getting stuff we have out of the building so that we can actually use the space we have.
Yeah.
And we just needed it. I mean, we were having boys club outside. They had nowhere to be. So when it was raining, it was just everywhere. It was a mess. We needed. They were going to do class in there. That was our first plan, was for them to have a shop type class in there so they could actually have a room to do stuff, and teach them how to do those things. So we did a fundraiser, as small churches do. We do a lot of fundraisers, and this was one that John had kind of put together. So if you want to talk a little bit about the fundraiser we had for the storage building.
Yep. We did a raffle, and I go to a lot of like hunting. What do you call them? I kind of lost. What's
Drawdowns.
the word I'm looking for? Huh?
Drawdowns.
No, it's the
Silent
banquet.
Expos. Oh, okay.
Banquets. Your turkey banquet, duck banquet, deer banquets. It's all, and they always do like gun raffles and silent auctions, and you buying pictures, you putting in bids on guns or all kind of stuff, calls, coolers, all kind of stuff. So that's kind of what brought that idea on, was being in Central West Alabama, that's probably going to get some traction. So that's what we did. That's what we decided to do. We did a raffle, and we had several businesses in the church, business owners. They donated some prizes so that the church wouldn't have to come out of pocket for the prizes. That would just be that much more money that we could keep. Several of my friends have businesses they donated to. And then we just started selling tickets like crazy. I can't remember how many tickets we sold or how much they were, but I know we raised right at what we needed.
Yeah.
I think a little bit over. I think for some reason in my head, I'm thinking we were looking for 8,000 and we raised like 8,800
Yeah.
or something like that. And that's with some people giving, just giving toward it, not really wanting a raffle ticket, but mostly it was people buying tickets.
Yeah.
And
I think the
so
main prize was an AR-15.
yeah, we gave
Yeah.
away a gun. We gave away a couple different coolers. We gave away a few different things for women too. We gave away like a beauty basket, some gift cards for like getting your nails done or whatever. Which men can do that too, whatever. But mostly, that was kind of just throwing in something for the women. Alex, I know you like to get pedicures and stuff, but
Stay away from my feet. I got baseball feet.
what else did we give away? We gave away
You bought a cooler.
several
I
different
thought.
gift cards.
Yeah.
A couple different coolers, the gun.
Yeah.
So, like I said, a lot of it was kind of geared toward outdoorsy, trying to get the attention of men.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
I
maybe
know
a
there
Top Golf thing.
Yeah, it was several different gift cards. Just trying to get a lot of men involved because I have more pull with men. I don't have a lot of friends that are women, so and typically men are going to waste money on stuff like that more than a woman would. And I
Yeah.
don't if I went around selling Ulta gift cards or Ultra or whatever it is, the marketplace,
The
women
what
are
place?
whatever women's stores.
You say monkey
But
place?
you say something about a gun to a man, he's gonna be like, "Well, I mean, the gun's $500, but I'll buy 600 tickets." It don't even make sense, but they'll do it.
He's
That's how I
losing
am. When I go to those banquets, I load up on tickets. But it was a really, really successful, not raffle, but fundraiser. I would say that's up until probably still to this day the biggest fundraiser we've ever done.
Yeah. Probably so.
We've especially with like several years ago we did like a playground fundraiser and stuff like that where we needed like 3,000, 5,000 things like
Yeah.
that. But it was kind of a lot of those were seemingly like just God just putting on somebody's heart to drop a $2,000 check in the mail.
Yeah.
It's like it just appeared. Whereas this one was like it seemed like the event did most of the work, which we know that God's the one providing for it and putting it on the hearts of people to give toward it. But it was really successful and it was fun too. I got pictures with all the winners.
Yeah.
So that's something here before too long can probably show. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be pictures of random people.
Yeah,
but
probably not them,
not
but we can probably
Yeah.
have raffle ticket pictures and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
But
I was just
it
gonna
was fun.
say, one thing you're in a small church when we definitely had older people come up and say, we aren't doing gambling in the church. We ain't selling raffle tickets, And I promise you, I got brought up, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
small church. You kind of got to do what you got to do. Nobody's really doing it to win anything. We made sure the emphasis on doing it to help, further
That's
God's
it.
kingdom.
Yeah.
So,
Not to mention giving away a gun, an AR-15, also a small church thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't imagine
And-
that would go over well in a large church.
No papers. I mean, it was like, hey, I won this gun. Okay, take it home.
Yeah, I think
You
somebody
see-
else had won it in a raffle, so they were raffling it off.
Yeah.
Oh
They
man.
eventually just redonated it.
Yeah.
But we ended up knowing the guy who won, so it was fine. But
Yeah.
very successful. God really had his hand on that fundraiser, and as we know, it escalates from there. But that was a
I
fun
remember
one.
we did
I'll tell you that.
you did a Facebook Live And how you did it was we had a little roller thing like a bingo. We rolled it around. You would pull one out. First name would get to pick their prize. So basically, you'd call them and say, you get to pick, and let them pick and everything. And we did an order, and I remember it meant a lot to the guy winning the gun because I actually won the pick before him, and I told him, I said, look, I said, I don't really need it. Just if you want it, you take that pick, and I'll take another pick, and I let him get it. But it was a fun event. I really enjoyed it. I thought, like you said, it went really well. We raised the most, like you said, the most we've raised fundraiser wise ever doing that. And I think it was $50. Might have been 20, 25. I think it was $50 a ticket though.
I think it was 10.
10? You're telling me we sold 880 tickets?
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's crazy. I remember you had a big roll of tickets left over too.
Yeah, I bought like 20,000.
We're gonna raise $200,000 on
this. They say don't put a limit. No, I mean I just bought what the store had, but
so tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how we were going to build the storage building, as far as
how the process was going to look.
Yeah, the process and how we were going to have the manpower to do it.
Yeah. So my thought process with the storage building was, instead of spending, $5,000 or $6,000 on buying a metal storage building that we already have, and they run down after a while, they get dirty, algae on the side of them, all this stuff. We just need to build something that's going to last forever, and we can do it. I mean, it's going to be small enough where we can manage.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember right, it was going to be 16 by 30. Going to be 16 wide by 30 long, 30 deep. It was going to have a concrete pad in it, studded walls, a metal roof. At some point, we were going to, have access to put maybe a mini split or something in it, or at least like a window unit or something where we could, control the climate a little bit, insulate it. It's going to be a pretty wood, paint the outside of it.
We sold the church on a she shed is what we sold them on.
Pretty much.
So it sounds like.
But it was going to look good. I mean, I still think that if that's how it would have ended up, I think it would have looked good. But it was going to take some time, but not near as much time as what we ended up doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was knowing that we could do it if nobody else helped. Knowing that if we had to piece it out and it was just the leaders in the church, it was going to work out. Because we hadn't had a lot of, the men's group was booming. It was doing great. And the serve thing is what really, I guess, made us feel like we could too. We're out here raking. If I can go blow 4 hours of leaves, I can put a building up.
Yeah.
It was.
And I think too, like thinking back on when we remodeled the sanctuary, that was only a few of us too, really.
Yeah.
A lot of the days. And that was a lot of work that we hadn't really done before.
Yeah.
And it took manpower, but it took time, especially doing it during COVID when you don't have maybe as much money coming in. But doing that process and seeing how God just makes it work and proves you wrong when you doubt, that also gave us the confidence to try something like this, because it really didn't seem like any bigger project than doing that.
Yeah, no,
definitely not cost wise, but maybe knowledge wise, having the knowledge to build a structure, maybe. But I don't know. I just felt confident,
Yeah, that would be the word I described whenever we went into the meeting to talk about remodeling the sanctuary. Confident we could do it, And man, it got, like you said, God proving us wrong. Not proving us wrong that we couldn't do it, proving us wrong that we could do stuff that we didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
I think going back to that verse, it's, if we didn't have such rooted men, if we didn't have so much people established in faith, there's no way we could have done it. There's no way we would have even attempted to do it. Because if you have a bunch of, new Christians, or, you're in a small church where you don't have a bunch of confidence, confidence, I stress this a lot. Confidence is key. Knowing people's key. It's you have a lot of you said it earlier, pull when you know a lot of people. I may not be able to do it, but I can call somebody that can walk me through it.
Yeah, that's right.
And if we didn't have such rooted men that were built up in faith, overflowing with gratitude, we wouldn't even attempted it. But as a small church, we had to. I mean, we couldn't have paid to build something. We didn't want to buy something that we already had that don't last. We wanted something that was going to last for God's kingdom and leave for the next generation.
Yeah.
But that's why this verse is so key. I mean, just built up in Him, established in faith, knowing that, if we get to a point where we don't know what we're doing, God's going to handle it. There's no doubt in my mind. It's went over in my mind several times that there's never been a situation that God hasn't solved, that God hasn't worked out. I've never been in a situation where I said, I guess He just don't know what to do. He's always worked it out. Looking back at every problem in my life, He's always worked it out, and He always will.
Yep.
I just think that a great verse for this episode. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about in the next couple episodes, a lot of changes. Very excited though. I think this one went great. Had a great time talking to you guys. Alex, you want to close us in prayer tonight?
Yeah. Dearly and Father, Lord, we thank you again for this opportunity to come together, Lord, and just reminisce on what you've done for us, Father. And as Boyd said, we are confident that you will do it again and that you will continue to do it in our future, Father. We're looking forward to all that is going to be able to come from this podcast, Lord, the churches that will be touched, the lives that will be enriched just by being able to listen to us, just talk shop and just honoring you all through it, Lord. Keep us safe this week and get us back together again to record another episode. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So thank you all again for listening to the Small Church Podcast.